Come on,
It
Kim.
says she's watching.
I know. We need her. Let me try again. Hi, Lauren's
Hi,
on.
folks.
Hi,
People that are joining.
Spencer. Hi, Jamie. We are going to get started in just a second. We're waiting for one more person.
Oh,
So
she's coming.
I did it.
Yeah!
There she is. Yay. Awesome. Awesome. Oh, she just went away.
Oh, gosh.
Hi, Spencer. Thanks for being here. Well, we'll get started. I'm sure that I'll be kind of playing with the buttons here, and I'm sure that she'll go ahead and jump on as soon as she can. Thank you so much for coming. We are really excited to talk to you today about the Undone Movement. But let's introduce ourselves first. There she is. Hey, Kim.
I'm here.
I'm glad you made it.
Thank you.
um, Yeah, so we'll just do intros first. My name is Leanne Erickson. I was an Iowa Teacher of the Year finalist in 2019. Really glad to be part of NNSTOY and the founder of the Undone Movement, which I'll tell you a little bit more about in a little while.
Hey, I'm Bree. I'm a honorary member of the NSTOY family because I love to hang out with all these beautiful humans. I taught in Iowa for a long time, and now I'm over on the West Coast doing education consulting in California. I'll pass to Kim.
Oh, hi there. I am Kimberly Eckert, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm 2018 Louisiana Teacher of the Year. My day job, I'm the Dean of Oxford Teachers College at Reach University, and I still teach. I just taught my high school class, so my students just left. I'm going to pass it over to Michelle, because she's the last person to pass it to. Michelle, over
That's
to you.
right. Hey. Welcome. I'm Michelle Cottrell-Williams. I am in my car, but I am parked. It is off. See, I'm not going anywhere. Safety first. I'm the 2018 Virginia Teacher of the Year, and I am a Equity and Cultural Responsiveness Specialist in a large division in Northern Virginia. So happy to be here.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Undone Movement. What should we tell folks, guys? We think it's amazing, but we want to tell them why, right? Should we start with where it all began?
Yes.
Yeah, and what do we mean by undone?
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so it all began in 2020, right after the murder of Ahmaud Arbery. I remember seeing on my Facebook page or all my social media pages, lots of my friends posting hashtag Run with Maud. And I was thinking at the time, I had been doing a lot of social justice work and created a lot of curriculum regarding social justice, particularly for white students in Iowa, and was just wondering if my friends had the resources to really create the kind of change that they clearly wanted to, that I could see that their hearts really desired to. And so I thought, well, I'm home on COVID. I miss teaching. I'm just going to teach my African American lit class to any of my friends who want to join me. And 500 people from around the country joined, and we got to build this amazing team. Michelle and Bree were originally on that team too, and then Kim came the next year, and it evolved into really a space where we just create really powerful learning experiences centered on race with experts in the field, and try to hold each other accountable for change and action. And this is our third year, and right now we're doing it for educators. And why Undone? Because I was inspired by something one of my students wrote in response to his time in my African American Lit course. He said, he's a white boy, and he said, taking African American Lit made all of the structures of my understanding that I built up over my whole life just completely crumble. And I had to rebuild them with new walls of compassion and understanding. I really learned to see people. And I thought that really is what it felt like, particularly for my white students, is just like, I'm undone. I am totally undone and need to rebuild. And so that's where I got the name, the Undone Movement. What's it been like for y'all to be part of it? It's been so great to be on this journey.
I've loved the different journeys and perspectives that have always shown up in this conversation, right? Because I think, like, as educators, I think sometimes for us to enter spaces, I think we feel like we need to like have all the answers and know what's going on for like everything, because we have to like teach things. We've got to know what we're talking about. And I think in this space, it's been so beautiful to see people in various stages of their equity journey. We had people who've joined us who have like, what does the word equity mean? Like they had no, and then we've had people who have like been like networking with authors and are like in the conversation. So that I've appreciated, and it's a mutual equipping, I think, and that's amazing.
Yeah, and when I think about like undone, I really connect with this idea of like unlearning. I know for me, when I became an adult, educators, we often think of ourselves as lifelong learners, and we're trying to build lifelong learners. And as a white adult in an education system where I was teaching so many students of color and students from different backgrounds from mine, I had to shift more into unlearning what I thought that I knew in order to make the space to interact differently in the world. And I try to bring that with me when I do this work with others, particularly with other white folks, is what unlearning needs to happen before there's that space to rebuild. So what needs to come undone before you are able to engage in this work and with people of color in ways that aren't perpetuating the harmful systems that we have been raised in, so that our kids, when they become adults, don't have to also unlearn, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And just sort of bringing up the rear, I think that what we see in education and really in any space is that people want to know things and they want to do better. I genuinely believe that. And I also believe that people would be doing the thing if they knew how to do the thing. And I think the best part about the Undone Movement, to Bree's point, is that it doesn't matter what you're coming with. Like you might be coming with nothing. If you're coming with the idea that you're a human being and you understand and recognize that we are all on a journey and we're never going to arrive at an endpoint, then you're in the right space. You're in the right space to learn. And because whenever we don't know the words to say, we don't know the questions to ask, and we don't know what things mean, I think that's whenever we're at the most vulnerable. And I love that this summer is dedicated to educators, because education is the tool to be able to chop through so many of these different things. We can't really go to bat for our kids. We can't explain our classrooms. We can't explain why things matter the way that they matter if we don't know where to start. And so it's undoing things we've been taught, but it's also rebuilding things that we should have been taught so that we can make sure that students are learning them too. And I would like to talk about this. So I'm going to combine idioms, but not the giggles, but to talk about the white elephant in the room, which I'm pretty sure combines like Christmas, elephants.
Yeah.
But that is kind of neat to talk about whenever we invite people in. I think it's pretty striking that 3/4 of the movement are white women, right? So over to you if you want to explain just, why is that important to this space? Why is it important that we even name that? And what do you think that sort of does for the movement, that that white people are sort of at the forefront in these conversations for other white people?
Yeah, I think this is one of those spaces that I remember reading that a white woman asked Malcolm X, "What can I do?" Right? What can I do? And he said, "Go talk to other white people." And that I really took that as a personal charge as well. And so that's a big piece of this. And I think it's important to say that we're not, as the three white women as part of the movement, we're not here to tell people of color how to do equity work. We're not here to define a lived experience that we don't have. We're here to bring what we have to the table, our own unlearnings, our own understandings, and with grace and compassion, invite people in to a better story of joy and justice. And I think that white folks do have a role in equity work, a really important role. And one of those is to ensure that we are storing our privilege, our innate privilege that we hold, in a way that lifts up other people and really changes systems. This movement isn't just about a bunch of white folks coming together to talk about race. We want to get things done. We want to get things done. I think that's a really, really important piece. And Bree, I'll let you say more to that as well.
No, I appreciate that start, and I think that is so critical. And I'm laughing you brought Malcolm X into it, because that was literally my brain. A couple of his quotes are mine when I think about this as well. But I think largely this is our problem, in the sense that we perpetuate this. This had origins in whiteness, right? This is this white supremacist culture that we live in, and the positions that we are then innately placed in give us a unique position to be able to speak truth to power, and to be able to leverage, as Leanne said, that privilege that we have, to be able to, hey, other folks of privilege, get over here. We have to fix this. Oh, and we lost.
We lost our people.
Dropping like flies. Yeah. So I think that is so important to name that, though, because I think we have to acknowledge the reality of people who have looked like us throughout history, specifically white, liberal identifying women, have caused harm throughout history. And like, also acknowledging, like, we won't get things perfect. We never will. We also are on this journey. Yeah. And I think it's important and beautiful for us to have the opportunity to model that vulnerability. And in this space, in front of publicly other white people, saying, hi, guess what? Here's an instance of where I actually got it wrong. Like, a friend of ours writing a book, and you and I were both able to share stories for her writing process of, like, this is my journey. These are like a long litany of ways that I legitimately messed this up, caused harm, and had to like swallow my pride and apologize and become undone. But I grew from that. And I think that's really what our heart is in this work. And I do want to point out as well that we also, like, in the sense of we have to own this as white people, we also don't like take full leadership over, if that makes sense. So one thing that's super critical about the Undone movement is that we are not platforming ourselves at all. We are the behind the scenes front leader that is like making stuff happen. But it is not us who is the conveyors of knowledge. It is not us who are the conveyors of the experience. We are exceptionally intentional about pulling in leaders of color who are doing the work and are leading the actual conversation part of this. And we compensate for that, because that is so important as well. And so I just want to make sure we put that in the space as well, that it's not, you're not coming to learn from our incredible white wisdom. Like, that's not what this is in any way. We want the privilege to bring. Welcome back, ladies. We missed you.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, and you'll see, Bree, just to that point, like, we really are bridge builders, right? All of our guest speakers are experts of color in fields of equity, compensated for the time that they spend with us, and are really our hope is that the folks who are part of the Undone movement can learn from other people who have been doing this work for decades and decades. And I want to ask the question, though, too, because our space, and we say it is open to everyone, right? So I want to toss this to you, Kim, as a person of color and as watching other people of color be part of the Undone movement. What can educators of color expect in this space?
That's such a good question. It really is. And I will start by saying that, first of all, I'm one person of color, right? So I can give you one experience and just the shared experiences of my friends and colleagues, coworkers that have been part of the Undone movement. But I will say this, as a Black biracial woman who grew up in the Jim Crow South in the middle of Louisiana in the 80s, I've never had the luxury of opting out of conversations about race. But with the Undone movement, it releases the Black burden of talking about race. And I do think that is something that is probably pretty universal to the people of color that are part of this group. Because there are way too many spaces where that entire burden of talking about race, defending your experience, denying the impact of history, ignoring trauma, ignoring the effect of microaggressions, it's so heavy and it's so stressful, and it accumulates and it builds over time, and it rests pretty squarely in many circles on the shoulders of people of color. And with the Undone movement, that's not the case. It's the expectation that the people around you are doing the work, and you get to be a human who's learning and watching and stepping forward when you need to and stepping back whenever you need to do that as well. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. The other space for that is learning, right? I'm the expert of my lived experience. I'm not the expert of the entire Black diaspora of experiences. And so as I'm learning, and I'm learning about racism, right? I'm learning about history and historical implications. I'm watching people interact and grapple with that in a way that is very difficult to do outside of a space that's designed to give safety to discomfort. And that is very interesting to watch. And I think because of that, it's also therapeutic in a way, because there are many of us who work in spaces where sometimes we're the whisper, sometimes we're the hammer. But either way, it's uncommon that we're surrounded by people who are all doing the same work and on similar journeys. And I just think that the therapy, the release from that is fascinating and very gratifying, very fulfilling. And then the last piece is empowering. I'm also an educator, and other people of color, they're educators too. And some of us are the only educator of color in a space, or we know that we're with students who are maybe raised in very different ways, or honestly raised in spaces that are racist, and we still need to teach our children because they're ours. And I think that it's very empowering to be part of a group where we're all learning, where we all realize that not only do we have a power to be able to make experiences different in our classrooms and different for our students, but to make sure that those things are not nebulous. Like, we can actually change things, and we can actually have dialogue, and we can actually learn and talk and realize that we're all lifting and moving towards the same direction. And I think there's so much, again, power in that.
Thank you, Kim, for sharing that. And with our just last few minutes, I want to talk about how we get to that action, how we get to that movement. So just a little bit about what you'll experience if you join. And you can head over to undoneconsulting.com, and there is a link to sign up. Our quick link for our Eventbrite page is tinyurl/undone4 educators. And maybe one of you can throw that in the comments. Also throw some questions in there if you've got one. But just to tell you what'll happen over this 3-month period, there'll be 6 sessions. Each month we'll read a different book together. So our first book, you'll have the option of reading So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijoma Aluo, or Not Light But Fire, How to Lead Meaningful Race Conversations in the Classroom. And Matthew Kay, who wrote that book, will actually be our first guest speaker. And in his introduction, I'm so excited to hear from him. In his introduction, I felt like he really captivated the heart of what the kind of work that we want to do. So I just want to read this to you. This is who he says his book is for. And I just want to echo that this is also the spirit of the Undone Movement. He wrote, this is for teachers who want to tackle race conversations with more than a light show, who want something to be different after they and their students have wrestled with the great ideas. And that really is the goal. And so you'll read a different book each month. Our second speaker is Dr. Flonzie Brown Wright. She is a civil rights veteran. I know she's amazing, worked with Dr. King and John Lewis during the civil rights movement, and has just continued to work. One of the first Black woman elected to public office in Mississippi. She's an amazing person, and you'll learn so much from her and just be energized by her. So, and then we'll have a third book and a guest speaker that we'll announce soon in August. But we will collaborate with each other. We'll build lesson plans. We'll form cohorts. There'll be additional Instagram live sessions that you'll have special access to with people in particular areas of education. So whether that's special education or arts education, we'll have different spaces and opportunities for you to go to. There'll be this collective learning that builds such rich and vibrant community. You know, sometimes teaching justice work, especially in states with legislation, like in Iowa, anti-critical race theory legislation. I know, Kim, you're feeling it hard in Louisiana. This work can be isolating. And yes, in Virginia, this work can be so isolating, and we want to end that isolation for you and build this community. So just pop in a couple other things that they'll get. We have about 2 minutes, and then we'll share the details. But what else can people kind of expect?
I would add that the intentionality around the learning that we are seeking to offer through the Undone Movement is really to move beyond performative and into transformative, right? And so that after 3 months, I almost think of like the red pill in the Matrix, right? Like you can't at the end of the 3 months say, check, I learned about equity, and continue to live your life in the same way that you were before. If you truly engage in the learning through the summer, that it transforms your paradigm of the way that you see the world and the way that you see yourself moving through it. And I believe that the learning also helps to empower you to live differently and speak differently. And yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, and also this year you can get 2 graduate credits for doing this. Two whole graduate credits. It just is an extra $50 on the ticket for the 2 credits. We have earlier bird pricing that ends today, so we would love for you to sign up. If you have a bunch of people in your school district, if you want your department to sign up, your grade team, whatever, just send me a message. I'm at undone_consulting on Instagram, or you can send me an email through undoneconsulting.com, and we'll just get you a group rate. It's fine. We don't want price to be a barrier, so if price is a barrier, let us know. And we mix that obviously with we need to pay people for the work that they're doing. So trying to find the right balance there. Starts June 8th. Again, 6 sessions. I'm trying to think what else. 2 graduate credits. Anything else that we
I
need
feel like
to
we
share?
should throw in a free toaster. No, jokes. Sorry.
Yes, let's do it.
No
Free
promises.
toaster. Kim will mail you a free toaster to one lucky winner.
Toaster. Totally free.
Yeah, it might just be from a local restaurant, not, but you know.
But seriously, the
And
opportunity
it's fun!
to be able to learn in a space at a time where there's anxiety all around. It's not just the legislation around critical race theory. These are problems we've been banning books in Louisiana for years, right? These are not new problems. They're louder, they're more widespread, and there's more of our students' safety and democracy and their chance, their shot that's at stake. And I think that in those cases, the anxiety is still high, but our anxiety lessens whenever our confidence and our knowledge increases. And I think that even better than the toaster is that idea that you will have far less anxiety whenever you are better able to understand yourself and how to navigate and probably one of the trickiest times that we in our generation have faced in education.
Yeah, I just had my sister just joined, so hey, Jen.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And Aisha, we cannot say critical race theory in Arkansas. It is crazy. It's crazy times. And the one thing the Undone Movement wants to do is be able to give you tools to be able to talk about the thing, even though we can't say the thing. And I think that's a big piece too. So we have been navigating these issues too, and hopefully we can all be able to put our heads together to figure out how we can continue to talk. Sorry, hi Raven.
Hey girl.
Oh, so you know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah.
Well, and that you have that.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, just that you have that community that you know you're not alone, and that gives you courage as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. We're not just building up like your own personal allyship and knowledge bank, but we're hopefully building up a community of allies to really do something powerful in this nation. We believe in education. We believe it's the front lines of social justice work. We believe that we can send our students out equipped to be change makers. And we want to help you do that too in the Undone Movement. One final plug. We also love NNSTOY, and NNSTOY has another amazing conference coming up this summer, July 13th and 14th. It's called Reclaiming Teaching, from Taking Care to Taking Charge. And you can head over to nnstoy.org to learn more about that conference. And the keynote speakers are fire. It's going to be amazing. And hi, Lance. Yeah, Michelle does rock. Totally rocks.
Okay.
And so, yeah, undoneconsulting.com or tinyurl.com/undone4educators. Just shoot us an email or a message. Any questions that you have. We're so thankful that you came and hung out with us for a little bit. Also, link is in NNSTOY bio. So thank you so much, Michelle, Kim, Bree. I love you all. It's always just good to be in your space.
Bye, friends. Look forward to seeing everybody at the Undone Movement.
Yes. Goodbye.
Bye.